The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2021 Farmers Insurance Open. First look, research, and going to be doing up a lineup review like I talked about last week, and it's not going great as we speak right now, but at least we have more time to go through. We still have round 4 before I'm recording this, so hopefully things will turn out for the better, because I have no idea who has won the American Express at this point. There's like 25 guys within 5 strokes of the lead, so it's a complete crapshoot at this point. Who can get a hot putter on the go? That's what I'm hoping one of my guys will end up doing. So we'll see how it ends up going. Want to remind everyone to smash the like button, give me your early lean in the comment section. And I am doing a $100 giveaway this week for people who listen to the audio version of this show. Now, I'd like to do it for people on Spotify and people on Google and wherever you listen to your podcast, but frankly, the only one you can really track is Apple Podcasts. So even if you're a video listener and you want to get into this draw, subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast. Remember to download the episodes that are up there. But the important part that you do, beyond subscribing really, is leave a 5-star review and leave your Twitter handle or an email address, just some way I can contact you in case you end up winning. And we will have a draw for 100 DK bucks, or not a DK bucks, just 100 American dollars. That's, PayPal-ity or something like that. That's the giveaway for the week. Let's juice up those reviews for the week. A similar contest is going on for the Dogger Pass podcast right now, the UFC show on Mayo Media Network. So if you want to try to double dip on it, that winner will be announced the following week when UFC ends up returning, following the Connor card. But ratings and reviews, 5 stars. Like I mentioned, that's what you want to do. The Listeners League link is in the description. That is opened. It's up to 3,000 spots this week. So let's fill that quickly and make it even bigger going forward. $15 to play, 3 max entry, no rake, making it the best tournament on DraftKings. And I should let you know that all of the information provided today will be from fantasynational.com. Football's almost over, and maybe you're not into the NBA, or maybe you're not into hockey, although you should check out the hockey show on Mayo Media Network, by the way. Fantasy Hockey Picks and Bets. I mean, what could be a better SEO title than that? Go check that out. But golf is really coming to the forefront right now. We're starting to get stronger fields. All the guys are returning. We have Torrey, we have Pebble, we have Riviera, WGC, the Players, the Florida Swing. Then the Masters was almost here. It's a very jam-packed 3 months. So fantasynational.com/Mayo gets you 20% off. And if you're betting more than like $10 a week, playing more than $10 a week on DraftKings, highly suggest that you end up going to do that. And if somehow Chase Seifert ends up winning the American Express, Fantasy National will have paid my membership for like the next 30 years. So let's go Chase Seifert, see if you can pull this one through for us. What else do I got to say? Oh, the European Tour Pick Show shout out to Tom and Sky. Successful first week. They had a Lipsky top 5, and when you have Rory and Fleetwood and Hatton come inside the top 5, hitting a Lipsky out of nowhere. Actually, the Mark Warren long putt on 18 really kind of sunk the overall odds. It could have been even bigger, but shout out to them on that. They will return on Monday evening on Mayo Media Network. If you're curious about DraftKings and the betting side of the European Tour, remember to rate, review, all that stuff. Smash a like, subscribe to the channel. It's fun. Let's get into the actual stuff right now, though. Torrey Pines, the site of the 2021 U.S. Open, but that's not really what we're here to talk about today, because the difference between this, obviously the rough length and the USGA setup is going to be way different, almost like we saw the year that Woodland ended up winning at Pebble Beach, where they had played, the 3-course event in the Pro-Am for Pebble Beach earlier that year, and the course looked really nothing like it did when it came around to the U.S. Open. Really trim fairways, and I would expect this to look more like when Tiger won here in 2008 against Rocco in the playoff. So there's also a split between courses this week. You have the North Course, you have the South Course. The South Course is where the U.S. Open will be held, and that's where 3 of the rounds are going to come this week for the Farmers Insurance Open. And the North Course tends to play a little bit easier. This tends to be an advantage in showdown contests. This happened at the American Express this week as well. And again, it's not to say that guys can't go low at the South Course. It's just that more guys are going to go lower at the North Course. So you might as well just stack those up and be on your way. If we just look at the overall courses, courses. Par 72 for both. The South course is almost 7,700 yards. Again, that's where 3 of the rounds will be played, and it has shot tracker on Poa greens. So at least for 3 of the rounds, you'll be able to track your guys. The North course, no such luxury on that front. There is no shot tracker, but it's only 7,250 yards, so significantly shorter. Still a par 72. They generate about the same. I mean, there's more eagles on the North, but there's just not a ton of eagles at this course anyway. Realistically, the one where you see the most eagles on the South course is on number 18. At least you have a few more opportunities on the North course. It plays as bent grass. That's just a change that's been made. I should probably go look into to see if they've actually changed the greens for the South course for the U.S. Open, but I'm pretty sure they're sticking with Poa this time around. So for Showdown contest, just target the North and you'll be good to go. Let's jump over to the field for the Farmers Insurance Open. Like I mentioned, it's pretty stacked. Not as stacked as maybe you'd think. Obviously, no Tiger because he's dealing with that back surgery. But if we just sort by strokes gained total, you see Rahm, Xander, our guy Harris English. He's up in this conversation right now. Finau, Scheffler, who we'll get to when I do my lineup review. I'm not very pleased with. Didn't realize he had a club switch. Wish that could have been reported before he was, missing the cut. But Patrick Reed, Matsuyama, Matthew Wolff, Corey Connors for the first time this season. Sam Burns coming off of burning everyone this week. Hovland's back in action. We got Rory McIlroy coming over from the Middle East, coming off I think he ended up coming second. Not a great Sunday for Rory, but he had a top 5 finish over there. Siwoo, see if he can close it out. Brooks is back in the field. Cam Davis and Griot both putting up a nice fight. Obviously, Sung Jae Im is playing. Then you got Adam Scott, Jason Day for the first time this year. We're back to Ryan Palmer, who I do like this week. He's been very good at this course over the years. Bub Rubb, he's won here before, and he came top 10 a year ago. Got Kokrak back on the docket. Who's good that we're missing down here? We got Louis, Billy Horschel, Charlie Hoffman. We'll see if he ends up playing, as he ended up WDing with a back injury from the American Express. Ditto for Harold Varner. He was originally in the field at the American Express, but withdrew before the tournament started. More Lanto, more Glover, Carlos Ortiz, Woodland coming off at least through 3 rounds, he's looked pretty good. Could not make a putt on Saturday, and the irons and driving have been very good. We see Fowler with a bit of a rebound, the Farmers Insurance guy anyway. So like I said, a pretty stacked field. Is there anyone I'm missing from down here? Let's see. CT, the Panimal. I feel like he's done well here in the past. Well, I just want to give a quick look to CT Pan, see how he's doing. Molinari is back in. Maybe he can pull out a win for me. That'd be nice. Nice to have a triple-digit hit to go off of it. Adam Hadwin. Ben Ann played a little bit better. Snedeker has been like a course horse here. Brendan Grace will not be playing. His father actually passed away because of COVID complications over the weekend, so he's taking a hiatus from the tour. Thoughts go out to Brendan Grace, one of our favorites here on the show. That's just horrible, horrible news. Leishman, last year's winner, is way tucked down here, but he's playing a little bit better right now. So, like I said, this is a very stacked field. It has 156 players. The top 65 in ties will end up making the cut this week. And let's just take a quick look at CT Pan. Have you played at the Farmers over the year, pal? Farmers miscut 66, 35th, second. So he's got progressively worse, as almost like the rest of his career has got progressively worse as he's gone along. If we just click on over to the tournament history at this course, sort by last year. Obviously, Leishman won when he couldn't hit a fairway in the final round, yet made every putt, and the irons were really good. So Leishman, Rahm, Rory, Snedeker, Hoagie, Finau, Reed, Bubba, Harry Higgs, Charlie Hoffman, Max Homa, Bo Hostler, Patrick Rogers, all finished inside the top 10. And there was Mav McNeely all by his lonesome in a solo 15th, and Keegan, Day, Champ, JB Holmes, Sung Kang. It's got to be Kang. So pretty good amount of names up there. When you have Leishman, Rahm, Rory, Snedeker, although Snedeker didn't have a great year, then you have Finau, Bubba, and Reed all coming through near the very, very top. That's a very interesting, just like the good guys end up playing well at this course. Not everyone, obviously, but that's a pretty stacked field. Even just looking back at the previous winners of this event, like Leishman wins last year, Rose, Day, Rahm, Snedeker, Day, Stallings, and Tiger Woods. You throw out Scott Stallings, it's a murderer's row of guys. Like, those are all legit players. So very rarely do you see, not necessarily like a long shot winner, because I don't think that Leishman's odds were all that great. Rose was coming in off a miscut at the American Express. Despite being very highly ranked in the world, people really weren't on him all that much. Same as Day. Like, Day, I think, was like 25-1 the year that he ended up winning. Obviously, Rahm broke through for the first time here in 2017. So it's not like the absolute smash favorites that end up winning this event. But at the same time, it's not like you're absolute jabronis. Like Patrick Rogers hasn't won here. Let's see, Harry Higgs, a nice top 10. That's great. And I bet you those odds were probably very, very high when you think about it in retrospect, same as Hoagie. But the guys who are the guys end up showing up here. And when you have generally an elite field like you do at this tournament over the years, you're going to get one of the big boys coming. This is a big boy course, so expect one of the elite guys to at least show up. Strokes gained total over the past 5 years. Finau, Rahm, Snedeker, CH3 coming off a miscut at the American Express. And Mark Leishman are your top 5. You got Keegan, Hideki, Woodland, Jason Day, JB Holmes, Ryan Palmer is also up there. Seen Palmer the last 3 years, 2nd, 13th, 21st. Bad trend, mind you, getting worse every single year, but this is the best. This 12-month stretch has really been the best that Ryan Palmer has ever had in the course of his career. He's been really excellent, and he's up to almost top 20 in the world ranking, so it's very noticeable to see. Adam Scott, 1 second-place finish in the past 5 years, and his only start will be worth noting, too. Scott's just such a taker when it comes down to it, because you see how well the ball striking numbers look in, like, round 1. You're like, oh, the putter's going to flip. Then the putter flips, and the guy can't remember how to fucking drive. It's infuriating when all is said and done. So let's look at the strokes gained leaderboard from a year ago, as I mentioned, like off the tee for the top 5 guys. And this only takes into consideration 3 rounds, mind you, because the North Course does not have strokes gained data. But approach was up there for Leishman. He also gained 8 strokes putting, which is just kind of crazy when you think about it. And I remember this very vividly, just watching the event, being like, how the hell is Leishman doing this? Fairways gained -3 to the field. That's when you're dealing with irons and are 8 strokes gained putting over 3 rounds at a certain course, you can really make up for that. But he was missing the fairway by so much last year. He was hitting it like past the hazards into where the spectators were, where everything was trampled down. So the thick rock didn't really get to him. It was kind of crazy to see how that actually ended up turning out. Like Rahm just continues to it's a California course, and every time we're in California, Rahm ends up playing really well. You can see fairways gained near the top, same as Rory, same as Snedeker. Reed and Hoagie just were average, neutral to the field when it came to fairways gained. But Bubba, Finau, Tiger, Hoffman, Higgs, like finding the fairway at this course is going to be rather essential unless you can become a super putter, as it turns out. So you see Hossler and Rogers, both T9, Leishman. I forget what those other guys did in terms of putting, but I'm going to wager they either chipped in a lot or putted really well. Yeah, Patrick Rogers, almost 6 strokes gained putting, and Bo Hossler, just 3. That's actually not all that outrageous for him, and he lost strokes around the green. I guess he still ended up gaining off the tee overall because of distance, but realistically, you do want to find yourself in the center of the fairway here. Not necessarily the center of the fairway. Just don't get yourself buried in that thick rough that can really come back to bite you. But again, 10 of the past 15 winners of this course have finished top 30 at the end of the season of all players in terms of driving distance. So driving distance is going to go a long way. Leishman and Snedeker are really the two that buck that trend overall. I think Leishman finished 113th last year in driving distance. Also, he wasn't very good after he won this event last year. So that's something to remember coming into it. He's played much better since the calendar flipped. And Snedeker, I don't know how the hell he gets himself around this course so easily. It has to be the wedge play. Something about him putting at this course over the years, but he's won it twice, obviously the 3rd last year. He's just been excellent here over the years. It's kind of crazy because you would not think that this course suits him whatsoever, but just looking back, I guess we can we'll just go farmers. 3rd, 62nd, 45th, 9th, 1st, 19th. Missed the cut in 2014. 2nd, 1st, 9th, 2nd. And you see some of these putting performances, 8.6 strokes gained, 4.3, 3.5, 5.2. Some years it doesn't go really well for him. Obviously, the 2019, 2018, but just every once in a while, he pops up with this hot putter. It has not been a good go for Brandt Snedeker recently. Obviously, he's missed 1 cut to start the year. I don't think he played in the American Express. All the stats will be loaded. It's going to take a little bit longer than normal as we're switching systems at Fantasy National. So I think by noon on Monday, all the stats from the American Express will be loaded. I think that if you end up just going to, let's see here, up to the top, and going back, I asked Moose if you would leave the in-tournament stats available. So you should have access. They just won't be factored in if you're running models or anything like that until noon Eastern time-ish on Monday. But if you just go back to like the American Express field, as we'll do for a second, then click on the in-tournament stats for that event, you should be able to find all of the strokes gained data that was available for the American Express. If you want to go back and look, and we'll take a look at it here. Obviously, the final round hasn't started as of yet, or maybe it just started. loaded as I'm recording this, but going through it, that's just what I'm looking at here. If we just go overall to the past course conditions and take a look at the course breakdown, as we always like to do, we can see, rough length long. That was at the north course for both those. Average length at the south course. You got Bent, split between Bent and Poa. Between the courses, hitting fairways, always going to be difficult. That's why you see some of the guys like Bubba and Rom, not the biggest accuracy mavens on tour, but where it is harder to hit fairways at this course than most courses. You're looking at a situation where, even if you club down a little bit, or even like the Bryson type of situation from the US Open last year, it's like people just aren't hitting the fairway. It's like a 42% hit fairway rate. What's the big deal if I just bomb it out as far as I can? If everyone's hitting the rough anyway, I might as well be 100 yards longer in the rough than everyone else to make things easier on myself. The green speed, very fast at both courses last year. It generally stays in that fast range. So the faster greens tend to prop up better putters over time. There's some guys that putt really well on slower greens that can mitigate some bad putters. And you can always think of it the other way as well, where if the greens are so fast and so difficult to read that maybe it makes up for someone who's a bad putter because people might three putt more than usual. So it can go two ways, but I tend to find that if you look at courses that have really exceptionally fast greens, that the better putters historically tend to do a lot better than normal, at least than you'd expect at this course. We look at the breakdown. This is for Torrey Pines South, where we have all of the data from. You see the eagle rate at 18, the eagle rate at 13, and the eagle rate at 6. Not very high. The eagle rate at 6 is actually the one where they actually eagled the most, 2.2% eagle rate. The birdie rate is actually down on 18 just because there's the water in front of the green. That can create a lot of problems. But as you can see, bogey rate high at 1, almost 25%, 27% at 4, 25% at 7, 25% at number 11, almost 28% at number 15. Like, it is tough sledding out there. You can get things going in such a bad way at this course. In terms of Showdown, let's see. I don't think they're doing split tees for this event because they switch courses, but they might. Who knows? It does look like you would want guys starting on the front. There's not a distinct advantage. Hole number 1 is going to be very tricky, but you get that layup hole at number 15, which you can birdie. But holes 8, 9, and 10, 13th, 15th, and 12th in terms of difficulty. So you have 3 holes that are on the easier side of the 9 going back to back to back. And if you do the wraparound, you have 8, 10, and 17, which will be available to everyone. But if you try to go 17, 18, and 1, a 12.5% birdie rate on number 1 is going to make that wraparound birdie streak a little bit more difficult at this course. Approach factored way more over putting in terms of the top 10 finishers. If we sort it by top 5 finishers, we'll see it's still over double. Around the green does play a bit of a factor here as well. You're just going to see a lot of guys struggling to get it up and down. So many shots coming out of the rough that you're going to have to rely on your short game. It's going to be very difficult for anyone realistically. You see that Leishman was really the only one last year. So it was him and Bo Hostler were the only guys inside the top 15 to lose strokes around the green. But you can make that up if you're Mark Leishman and you gain 8 strokes putting, that if you leave yourself 15 feet away, but you're making those 15 footers, doesn't really matter how bad your around the green game is. It's not like it was a disaster. He lost less than a stroke around the greens. Everyone else in the positive, though. So something to take into consideration. You're looking for a very balanced player this week, or just someone who gets hot and lucky or is very good on Poa greens versus something else. The par 5s and par 4s where you're going to do a lot of your scoring, but you can see the par 4s, 450 to 500 yards, 5 of them. And I bet you if we take a look, they're probably the most difficult holes on the course. Let's see, 9th, 4th, 3rd, 1st, 2nd. Yep, that's where you want to load up. You have guys who are good from that range is probably where you want to load up this week. We'll factor that into the modeling once we run our preemptive model here. The historic cut line, -1, -5. Jesus, must have been an easy year. -1, -3, -2, -1. I would expect to be -1 to -3. The -5 seems like a huge outlier. That happened 2007 and 2019. Other than that, -3 appears to have been the lowest since the early aughts when it was -4 a few times. We've even seen it be even. But the North course is easy enough. You really need to go out and do that. At the South course, you can see the average tour driving accuracy 62%, only 53% at Torrey Pines South. Green regulation percentage way down, 66% green regulation percentage for your average tour event, only 63% here, and scrambling very difficult because of the thicker rough. The torque of the greens. So again, short game. And I mean, I've been over why I don't love scrambling all that much, but you're going to have a short game this week if you truly do want to compete. How are we doing for 3 putts per round? 3 putt percentage, higher here than it is at an average tour event as well. So let's jump in to the modeling to see what we can do and try to figure it out. Do we have a Torrey Pines model available? Oh, you know what I did want to do before we did that? I wanted to see if there was a showdown advantage at Torrey Pines North, if you're playing the front or not. Let's see. 18 is super difficult, so you would go 10 through. You'd want to be playing the front. You want to be starting on 1 at Torrey Pines. That's the showdown spot that we want to actually go to, so it makes more sense that we go to Torrey Pines North if we're doing the showdown percentage, shorter course. You see the eagle rate is, there's 2 holes, number 5 and number 10, and number 17 have higher eagle rates than any hole on the south course. So this is where you want to go in showdown. And if you do start on hole number 1, you get a stretch. The easiest holes on the course, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Obviously, that's going to be available for everyone, whether you start on the back or not. But you can get some runway into, if you birdie number 8, then you have 9 and 10 available to you to try to make birdie. Very high birdie percentages on both those. And 9, 10, 11 is the easiest stretch of 3 holes on the course. And you do not have access to those if you start on the 10th tee. So just, again, whether that increases your win percentage or chances at a birdie streak by like 0.5%, it's higher than it would be if you didn't do it another way. This isn't to say don't play bad players over good players because one's playing the front, one's playing the back. If you have to make a choice and you're really looking to target, you want to target the Torrey Pines North course and guys starting at hole number 1, if you can do that. If not, then, don't do it. Let's take a quick break because I want to let you know that support for the Pat Mayo experience is brought to you by Manscaped. Yeah, here we go. If you don't have the Manscaped razor, I don't really know what you're doing down there because, first of all, it's a bit dicey if you're doing it with a straight razor to begin with. And you always want to go with the lines. That's just something that people out there know. But if you're walking around with an Arbusto Grande down there, you need to give yourself a clip, pal. Give yourself a shave with Manscaped. Plus, there's a whole bunch of other products that you can get yourself into too, like the anti-chafing ball deodorant. Who doesn't want that? It gets sweaty down there, fellas. Not so much in Toronto, where I'm at the moment, but if you live in the south or somewhere with a very warm climate, you need to keep those balls fresh, all right? Especially after you give yourself a clip. Give yourself a nice smooth shave down there, and you'll be looking good with Manscaped. And, the ball toner. Refreshing ball toner. You can give yourself a quick down there after the clip, and you should be good to go. That's why the Manscaped trimmer, the electric trimmer, has been engineered and spent 18 months perfecting the greatest ball hair trimmer of all time. They call it the Lawnmower 3.0. And look, you can wear underwear a lot easier, trust me, on this one. And I don't want to get into my details of how much better my ball shaving has become since I've actually got Manscaped. They sent it to me. I'm like, I gotta try this stuff out before I go promote it, all right? So I give myself the quick, well, not that fast, obviously. That would probably be a recipe for disaster. Although it has a guard on it, so I haven't had any problems with it. But you should give it a try, all right? Manscaped.com. Let me get the code here for you. You get a free discount too. So you go to manscaped.com, you get 20% off and free shipping with the code MAYO at checkout. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using code MAYO. It's not just the ball products as well. What else we got here? We got the plow. That's just a razor for your face. Some refined cologne, a foot duster, the crop cleanser, the crop mop. Give your balls a shave, pal. Manscaped.com. Code MAYO at checkout for 20% off plus free shipping, all right? Check it out. Getting into the model. Scrolling down, getting into the model that was Career Builder. What else do we got here? Do we got Torrey Pines? Torrey Pines. Let's see how we're doing. Do I have any notes for this? No notes for this one. Ball striking very high around the green, weighted at 15%, par 5s, par 4s. I'm going to decrease the par 5 percentage. And add par 4s into it just overall because I already have that key distance like we talked about. And this is more for the south course because that's where we're going to be playing 3 of the rounds. I'm going to jack that up to 5. I put fairways gained and proximity, just these larger proximities. I have them weighted at 0. I just like to see them when they end up popping up. It's not a huge scoring course, but I will keep birdies are better gained in that. And another reason not to put in proximity from the 175 to 200 and 200 plus is I'm waiting par fives. I'm waiting these longer par fours. I'm waiting these longer par threes. So I probably don't need them as much. And then just chuck in the par fours. Just load it up. See who it spits out. Is all I'm looking for here. Maybe it's someone good. Maybe it's someone horrendous. Who knows when we get down to it? I'm going to guess who Harris English is going to rate out really well. I think Harris English is lost in the playoff here. I always like Palmer at this course. I always like Woodland at this course of like guys that are beyond that first set of names. Getting into the rankings. Rahm, Xander, Finau, English, Scheffler, Matsuyama, Sammy Burns, Ryan Palmer, Bubba Watson, Victor Hovland. Then we got Varner, Wolf, Koepka, Rory. Oh, it jumped on me. Koepka, Rory, C. Woo! Kim, Cameron Davis, Kokrak, List, The Gooch, and then Corey Connors coming in at number 20. Obviously, this isn't my favorite Corey Connors type of course. The driving distance for him really knocks him down 112th, but he's first in fairways gained, so hopefully that can mitigate the situation a little bit. Who is best on these par fours? Si Woo, there we are, for a guy, Kono. I voted for Konos. Haven't seen his name pop up in ages. Maybe a first-round leader at the North Course, if that's what we're going here with. When was the last time fucking Jim Konos played? So Si Woo, English, Finau, Fratelli, Ortiz, Kokrak, Howell, Norlander, Ricky. Ricky's going to be very interesting. I'm curious to track what he does on Sunday at American Express. So it's pretty impressed. He was making some long putts on Friday at the North Course, at the Stadium Course, Nicholas Course, to get things going. But it was nice to see him really rebound and not just pack it in. Wolf will be one I'll probably end up going back to here. People are going to be very disappointed. He took that penalty that got assessed on Friday for his Thursday round, was -5 on Friday, did not play well on the front nine at the Stadium Course on Saturday, but I believe he was 4 under on the back. Curious to see how he finishes out his week too, because he kind of has the perfect skill set for this course. He hits it a mile. He can get really dialed in with his irons. How did he do here last year? I feel like I bet him last year, and he was just kind of lurking around, but couldn't really get anything going on Sunday. 21st. Yeah, lost a bunch around the greens, but was good on approach. So he's someone to keep on your radar. I bet you he opens at like 40, 45 to 1, coming off a bad week, and in a field with a lot of really good names. Bubba, you almost have to be on Bubba. Hideki as well, after leading tee to green at the Sony, has had some really nice finishes here in the past. Obviously, his par 4 scoring is through the roof. Who's the best par 5 scorer? Xander. Fucking Xander. I never know what to do with that guy. He's going to come in, he's going to be like 14 to 1. I'm going to look at the number. I'm going to be like, fuck this. I'm not going to bet Xander at 14 to 1. And then on Sunday, it's going to be like Xander inside the top 3. And I'll be like, man, I really should have bet that guy. But Xander, Rahm, Finau, Burns, Wyndham Clark, Reed, English, Palmer, Schwartzel, Cam Davis, Sungjae, Keegan, Gooch, and Bubba in terms of par 5s gained against the field. Driving distance, if that's just the one outlier you're looking for. Champ, who had a horrendous week at the American Express, one of my one-and-done picks. It did not turn out great. He's first in driving distance. Brem, Burns, Rory, Haggy, who's having a nice week, but is local to American Express. Of course, he's played tons of times. List, Finau, McCumber, hardly newer. Johnny Vegas, Grayson Murray, Brooks Koepka, Harrington, Wyndham Clark, Wolf, Will Gordon, and Bubba Watson are your tops in driving distance. Let's see here. Just overall, those par 3s, the 200 to 225, that's a key range this week. That's where just a lot of the par 3s are going to end up coming from. Let's see here. Let's see how many of them come there at the South Course. There's a reason I have it in the modeling. I'm guessing 2 or 3 of them, and they're probably 2 of the harder ones. There's only 1 at the South Course, although this 194 can play a little bit longer too. Just very difficult holes to begin with. I wonder at the North Course, are there more than that? Maybe not. Oh yeah, there's 3 in that range and then 1 even longer. The par 3s at the North Course are just absolutely devastating. So that's why I put this key range in here. Wawrinski, Gooch, Day, Ryan Gibson, Scott Stallings, former winner here, Homa, Will Zalatoris. I didn't even see Zalatoris in the field, so he'll be a fun one. He'll be everyone's favorite sleeper of the week. Varner, Mark Anderson, Gellerman, Connors, and Alonto Griffin, Kiradesh, English, Stewart, Charles. Probably not like something that you're taking into massive consideration, or they're just guys who are bad there that are good players. Si Woo's not great from that range. Reed and Brooks have not been great from that range over the past 50 rounds. Let's shorten this down a little bit. Let's look at past 24 rounds and see if anyone is a little bit better. And again, you can can always go to the rolling report to see how people are doing over time if you really want to. I would suggest not really factoring too much of this in until we get into a situation where the stats from the American Express are loaded in. Just gives us a bit more data to play around with. That will eventually load, maybe. My internet at the office has not been good recently, uploading stuff at the same time. Past 24 rounds, Rahm, Xander, Finau, English, Palmer, Hovland, Hideki, Bubba, Burns, Varner III, Rory McIlroy, Brooks, The Gooch, Ortiz, Christoph Ventura, Connor, Zalatoris, Charlie Hoffman, who's probably going to end up WDing, Scotty Scheffler, and Louis Oosthuizen. You got Cameron Tringali and Keegan Bradley. So that's if we shrink it down a little bit. Obviously, you can add weight stuff more, add in different stats of what you want. This is just what I'm running from last year. I'll probably tweak this as the week goes along as well. The only thing else I wanted to look at, let's just go back to overall strokes gained. I think sometimes it's good to look at who putts well on Poa. On these fast greens, obviously not all Poa greens are created equally. However, let's take a look at what's going on here. So sort by Poa greens. Past 24 rounds. Who's the best? Let's see here. Louis, Brandt, McNeely, Stewart, Wyndham Clark, Patrick Rogers, John Rahm, Patrick Reed, Ohio Denny, McCarthy, Hubba Hubbard. Maybe he'll use his brand new putting stance to continue to dominate Poa greens. Rory, TPJ, Kevin Streelman, Seifert. You make a run here, Seifert. That would be great. List, Luke List. Good God, really? That is shocking. Maybe List is someone to look into for next week. He's having an excellent ball striking week this week. Rocket Mortgage, Travelers, Genesis, Farmers, Safeway, Rocket Mortgage, U.S. Open, PGA. Hasn't been good recently, but if you go back to 24 rounds, that's where it really kind of comes in. At the PGA Championship, the year that he finished inside the top 10, I believe that was was it Shinnecock Hills or Bethpage? One of the two. They both had Poa. I forget what. No, that was at Bethpage. Was Bethpage? Fuck. My mind is going on me. Putted really well at Farmers last year, actually. Gained in all 3 of the rounds. So maybe List is Luke List week. Let's have it. Have at it. Back on Luke List. Konos, when was the last time he played? Oh, nice string of missed cuts here. And this is even at the Corn Ferry stops. The Orange County, the Savannah Championship. So let's cross off old Jim Konos. Get rid of that. So interesting to see. Obviously, not everyone has a complete complement of rounds. Like Ventura is 20th, and that's only with 12 rounds. If we just look at rounds gained percentage, this is something that a lot of people don't really use all that much when we look at the rounds gained. Snedeker, Seifert, Louis, Wyndham Clark, Campos pops up, has gained in 75% of rounds over the past 24. That's only in 4 rounds, though. So he's gained strokes putting on Poa greens in 3 of 4 rounds putted on Poa greens. Poston, English, Badley, Streelman, Chris Baker, Rory, List, Hadwin, Leishman. All right. Not just worth taking a look at. Let's glance back very briefly at the American Express stats for the week before I get into my lineup and how poorly. Well, it's not doing poorly, but it could be doing a lot better, put it that way. It's currently, last time I checked, was not winning any of the Mondays this week. Load in the American Express field, and then we'll take a look at the in-tournament stats to see how everything is going on here. And we'll actually switch to get... Actually, no, we'll take a look at the entire field, because that's what we want to look at. Only rounds from the stadium course, the Pete Dye design course, have shot tracker. So who has been the best in ball striking? Oh, it's actually List has been the best ball striker, at least at the stadium course this week. Couldn't putt. That's no big shocker. Rob Oppenheim used him in Showdown. The Gim Reaper, nice rebound week for him. Glad I didn't jump off the Gim Reaper unless he completely tanks, and then I'm going to feel stupid. Woodland can't drain a putt to save his life. Who else here? Grayson Murray had a really nice round at the stadium course, then blew up at the Nicklaus course, which you don't see all that often. Steele having another decent week with the irons coming off last week. Can't sink a putt. CT Pan not putting all that well. Molinari gaining a ton on approach, which is really encouraging to see. And the putting is just about neutral for the week. It's funny with Sam Burns, when you look at his stats, he absolutely piled up. Just some fantastic numbers at the stadium course. Took himself out at the Nicklaus course on day 1, missing the cut. But he is someone that I wouldn't feel bad going back to next week, especially after the 6 under Friday. Nice to see him kind of get that out of the way. Paul Casey chipped in once or twice, but the driving and the irons have been really good so far this week. I didn't see if he was in the field or not next week. Maybe he's not, but it's very encouraging to see in his first start that he just comes out firing right away. Who are the miscut guys? Let's see here. Aaron Wise, minus 4.1 strokes gained putting. Bhatia just had a really good irons week, nothing else. No one else really sticks out. Ryan Moore, Chris Baker couldn't make a putt. Pat Perez was good with the irons, but now with the driver. Trainer, I mean, that's pretty typical for trainers. So nothing really a doing there. Who's having an excellent putting week? Homa is having a great putting week. Harmon, Gooch, although they're having decent approach weeks as well and good driving weeks. So when you look at the overall ball striking, you can't take that away. Oppenheim, Siwoo, Casey, Liston, Gim are your leaders tee to green. Finau is just behind that. Wawrinski is right there as well. So you can kind of parse out what you want. Obviously, we're going to have to look at the Sunday numbers too to see who really comes up. The funniest was yesterday. If you just look at round 3 for Griot, he lost strokes. He lost strokes on approach and gained strokes with his putter, which is not something that you normally see from old Emiliano Griot. My DraftKings lineup for the week. I'm going to play in the $200, one of the $200 contests every single week on DraftKings now, and then try to review my lineup as it goes along so you can see the process that I went through in order to get to that spot as it all came to fruition. And frankly, if I start losing too much money, then I might stop playing in the $200 contest. But I had a nice cash last week. I had a nice UFC cash on the weekend, thanks to the captain spot one. And everyone had McGregor, so just having McGregor didn't really sink you. It was avoiding all the other favorites. It worked out well. So hopefully this can work out well. I'm doing much better in the $100 single entry than I am in the $200 right now. But let's bring that up and switch on over to what is happening here. As you can see, my lineup for the week, we got Scotty Scheffler, who missed the cut, Abraham Answer, Paul Casey, Adam Long, John and Vaughn Taylor. Didn't love this lineup when I put it in. In the $100 one, I actually had the guts to play Molinari and Woodland, and along with Finau. I really wish I would have not been such a coward and done that in this. In the overall construction of the 20 teams that I played this week, I had 75% Scheffler, 75% Answer, and 75% John Huh. I felt really good about John Huh coming into the week and how this set up. I talked myself into him the more and more the week went along. I liked his price point. $7,200. Scheffler, he missed the cut on the number. He gets through. I think in this is the $200 40K driver, 222 entries. At the higher stakes, I like to play the smaller contest to give myself an advantage. I thought I was cooked in this contest when it came down to it, only having a 5 of 6. But I think that out of the 222 entries, there was only 11 players who ended up with the 6 of 6. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so 8. And that I think it was 11 before Charlie Hoffman ended up withdrawing from the competition. And then that shrunk it down a little bit more. So I'm still live to cash in this. I'm not currently cashing. As you can see, I'm in 70th right now. And let's see, who do I have more players in? So I have one guy on the course right now, not quite sure who that is. Let's see. Oh, Abraham Answer is even through one hole. Thanks, Abe, for the 73 in round 3. Hopefully you can go fire some scores today. If these guys all go out and have a pretty good day, the problem is my win equity in this lineup is very low. Casey is my best right now at T13, so I need someone like crappy to end up winning. Molinari winning would be the best case scenario. Molinari or Seifert, if one of those two guys could win, I'm going to have a really nice week when it comes to betting and even DraftKings, because very few people own those players, so it knocks the Finau. And there's 3 guys currently tied for the lead, so all 3 of those guys are getting win bonuses right now. So each of those guys is going to lose 20, and if you have 2 of those guys in your lineup, even above me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So there's a lot of guys above me that either have a 4 of 6 or a 3 of 6 who are currently ahead of me. The cash line, I think it's top 43 in this one. So 163 at the moment. I'm at 152. So I'm only down by 11 points from the cash. And I have an extra player on a lot of these guys. So I think that getting into the cash should be, presumably something that I can achieve in this situation. Hopefully, if my guys don't go out and have my guys could not have played worse yesterday, really. Von Taylor shot a 74, Long shot a 76, Casey was okay, 73, and then a 70 from John Huh. So a very, very poor performance based on it. So how did I end up on these guys, I guess is the question that people want to know. Scheffler, Answer, and Huh were going to be my core for the majority of the week. Those were guys that I was really in on, and that's how I decided to go with it. And that $100 also has Scheffler. If I had just played Answer over Scheffler, I'd have a 6-6 in that as well, but with Tony Finau along for the ride with Molinari and Woodland. I felt good about Casey versus the other options in the 9K. I originally constructed this lineup. It had Scheffler, Answer, and Na in it, but I didn't like the top of the $7,000 range. I really should have, because the two guys that I used from that range were Woodland and Cam Davis, who I'd be much better off having at this moment, and I just didn't love what I had with the rest of it. I felt better with Adam Long, who had the good course history. I like his skill set for this course. Obviously, didn't work out very well yesterday, but he ended up making the cut, so hopefully can rebound with a nice one. And I felt that if I could get, Long was 86, I think Casey, or Long was 85, Casey was 87, Answer was 91, Scheffler was 95. This is the type of build that drew me a lot of success last week in the $100. And I think it depends on the slate that it comes down to, the build you would want to do. I think ideally, like if you can pay up for a $10,000 guy, drop Long, that 85 or that 87 down into the upper sevens. You can see I didn't touch the lower eights, upper sevens at all. I wanted to get four guys that I felt really good about into my lineups. You know, that's just because you feel good about someone doesn't mean they're going to be good. And frankly, Von Taylor was just a pure fantasy national play. I probably should have went with Seifert. I just didn't have the conviction on that. I should have went with Molinari, who I bet played in other lineups, but I thought, $200. I want to have like a proto cash game lineup here. Who do I like from down in that range? And it's funny that I ended up on Taylor, who I didn't bet. I didn't play a top 20 on, and he ended up in my, like, what I really needed a 6-6 in this lineup. Like, this was a hand-built lineup. I generated the other 14 or other 19 on fantasynational.com, but it just kept spitting him out. Like, he was top 10 in the modeling. Gim was also top 10 in the modeling. I was like, after the way he fucked me so hard last week, I'm not going back to him. Should have went back to Doug Gim in the spot, because I believe I had the cash to go do that. And Norlander was another one. I just lost conviction on him as the week kept going along. Herman was the only other one I really considered for the spot. Glad I got off of him because he ended up missing the cut. So Von Taylor at 68 was the way I want to do it. I think this is not necessarily the prototype I want to use every week for this construction lineup, because there are weeks where I'll want to go into the upper or go into the $10,000 range. I just thought that Answer and Scheffler were good values for this price, and that's all I really wanted to do in this lineup. Give me some guys who I felt like had a good floor and were relative values to their price. That's like with he was just off in the odds market. I just liked the way that he had been playing in the odds market. He was like 65, 70 to 1 in some spots, yet he was down at $7,200 on DraftKings. So that's how I ended up on this lineup. It's not a great lineup. It has a chance to get me, if I can get into the bottom end of the money. I think with the payout structure, I think it's like 300 or 350, maybe 400 for a min cash. But realistically, if I'm at 141 right now, to get up into, let's say, the top 30, it's a tough ask to say, but that's up to $450. Where's double my money at? So double my money would take getting to, I guess it's double your money wherever you go in this circumstance. So I'm only 11 points away from it? What did I say it was? 141. And what's the cash line? So I'm 21 points or 21 points away, or 20 and a half points away from the cash line right now, where I double up my money. Like I said, I have an extra player over a lot of these people. So if Paul Casey wants to put in a little bit of a charge, that could end up being pretty nice for me when it comes down to it. But I hope that was a bit of my process. Maybe I'll start recording those on like Thursday and adding them into this show so I can have that all fresh in my mind of what I was thinking at the time overall when I was building these lineups. Not a good lineup for this week, but I could get bailed out with a 5-6, and that's the reason that you play the 222 person one instead of the 555 one. Like, I think in the 555, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm assuming it would not have turned out. I probably wouldn't have a chance to cash in that tournament like I do right now, because the margin of error that you give yourself in these smaller tournaments is just much higher. Than the more people you add, the more perfect you have to be. Not to say that you need to be perfect in a 555 person one, but you need to be a whole lot less perfect in a 222. So that's the way that I tried to construct my lineup this week. You can play along with me. I'll try to keep a running tally of how I do in this tournament. Right now it's at zeros. I'm invested 200. We'll see if I can be up $200 or just down $200 going going into next week. I'll probably have to put a cap on how much I'm willing to lose in this tournament for the prospects of the show. So if you can like and leave all those reviews like I talked about, hopefully they can bring us some advertisers so I can afford to play in this tournament if I'm doing all that poorly. But either way, thank you all for tuning in. That was the first look. I will be back on Monday and Tuesday, and I'm going to be doing the live chat on Wednesday for the first time this year. We're in a football break, so we got to get the live chat back going. So I look forward to talking to everyone then. Good luck on the Sunday if you're watching this. I hope you had a lot of success this week. FantasyNational.com/Mayo to get yourself a discount if you want to get a head start on the proceedings this week. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience! Experience!